Action live to the 9 o'clock cooling hour, as it is mandatory to have some cooling time, cool whip time inside of the important 9 o'clock p.m. hour after one has been like me. And there's still lots of crews out there, so keep cool, keep focused, keep on keeping on, as we say in the outdoor working business. And in the entertainment business, the show does go on. It must always go on. So, that being stated, life always finds a way, doesn't it? And having watched that science show I watched yesterday on the evolution of life, it's fascinating. As much as I've learned inside of the University of Western's Earth Sciences, it never is old-fashioned to review one's earth science educational information, as stuff does get updated, and it's so great to watch it on virtual learning. So today I had an interesting impromptu meeting with someone that has a relative inside of Congo, and then the more I looked into it, the more I saw there was 6 degrees of separation. And this is how it is in life. There's always something to learn, and sometimes learning doesn't happen in a book, and sometimes learning doesn't happen online. Sometimes learning does happen face to face, and that then in turn, with the modern internet, can have you learn more. And that's a really cool thing of the 21st digital age. And this 21st century of digital age interactions, as CERN intended it to have a connection in a quick second, is cool, yet it sometimes is uncool. And what I mean by that is there could be a past history that is not cool, and it could play on the minds of even somebody like myself that wasn't born, but I had ancestors that were born in certain time periods. It could be uncool in the fact that stuff can happen emotionally in somebody's life, and it could affect anybody. This is how politics can be. So the point being is that it is important to rock on, to look forward, and to be a rock-steadied politician, for the politicians have the best interests of many, many people. So what I would, and I've always encouraged this in written, and I've spoken on a phone line, and I've typed it, and I virtually spoke about it for many years as a Goodwill Health Ambassador, is to have the government's leadership, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what their political leanings are, the most important thing is that the best interests of the health of the people should always predominate. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for instance, health as preventative health and daily fitness, like working out, getting to a gym, eating right. Simply put, if a government were to look to make sure that all people, no matter what their generation, had some sort of capacity or facility of exercise, pumping the shoulders, working the core, this sort of thing, and then eating healthily, it would be much better for the full. And I mean, it can't be just like 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. It has to be 100%. When it's 100%, then that's great. And what I mean by that also, it's not just like a goal of a G20 nation. I think it's a goal of every place on the globe. And no matter what that health definition is, now for me, it's having certain foods. For other people, it could be having other foods. As long as that food's healthy and it's in abundance, I think it's good. I think that the majority of the work still needs, and I think most people can relate to this from what they can see, maybe not experience, maybe they've only experienced it in the movies, or they've seen it on a news program, or they've seen it because they've been on social media, but the extreme poverty that exists in lots of places in the world still. People like myself may have had even times where there wasn't money to buy food, and that was some form of impoverishment, where food and wasn't in abundance. Now that needs to be a focus of governments. The focus on nutrients needs to be the focus. Now, look, everybody inside of this entire globe needs certain requisites. I am of a science mind. I have a strong gearing towards my spiritualness and being Christian. But what I really focus in on when I speak is the science fact. And the fact is, we need food, we need water, we need sunlight, and we need to have air. And that four is a part of the very important requirements. These are needs. These needs supersede all needs. When you have those four needs, you can build a house, you can get educated, you can build infrastructure, you can go and become, doing whatever you want. But you need those core needs. You need air, you need the sun, you need food, and you need water. Those four requisites is what I think leadership, and has been tabled up in the global goals, need to continue to fight towards. Because as far as I'm concerned, infrastructure is a necessity. We all need that. We need to be able to do things like build rocket ships and go into outer space. We need to be space bearing. We need to colonialize space. There's no doubt about that too. But we need to get there. And the only way to get there is to work together as a team. You gotta look at it in simplicity. The ideas that have happened in the past have happened. Things that shouldn't be repeated shouldn't. Yet, still, I'm turning on the news and stuff happens all across the world, and my battery is going to die if I don't plug it in. And this is the point. At the end of everybody's day, as the sun rises, it moves across the sky and it sets, it's important to realize that one has a place to keep warm. No matter what that form of shelter is, it's a warm place. And it can't be too warm. So technically, in places where climate temperature is going up, it needs to be regulated. And lastly, as one is resting and resting well, one should have food in their body so the next day they can wake, rise, and go do something productive. Something that is inclusive inside of their specific community. And when one is able to do that day in and day out, that's how society is built inside of its resilience. And when you have everybody inclusively involved in something, whether it's voluntary, or it's seasonal, or it's part-time, or it's full-time, you have a contribution going there, you have social strengthening that happens. And nowadays, with COVID, it's even more important to keep socially active within one's family unit, and as one gets their boosters, in addition to their vaccine. Hopefully everybody's gotten 2 vaccines by now. And next step being boosters. Then the next step is to deal with what happens in mutations, because it's a virus. And like all viruses, they survive on mutating. Point being is that we need to keep on pressing forward. Life has found a way over millions and millions of years to evolve and to adapt. It's an incredible thing to look at inside of the science shows available. The millions of years from way outside of the realm of what we know now to many ice ages, to molecules forming one-celled cellular beings crawling from oceans and sea levels into what we have now as complex human beings. Being is the operative word for, like I said the other day, is an action word for doing. So ing, like walking or laughing or smiling or working or volunteering or part-timing. I think I just made that up, but the point being is that there's always an ing, and that ing is important to be involved in something. And nowadays a lot of people are involved in virtual connection, and that can make an income, and it's good too. I have to say that in all this time of staying inside the house, it's still good to get some exercise and stretch legs, because being involved with my own personal pursuit of physical strengthening, I found it integral to my own being to keep moving. And that's just the way I've been raised. I've been raised to move, and a lot of people that I've met, it's like, oh, you walk too fast, or oh, and like everybody's been brought up their own way. But the point being is that I absolutely love movement. Excuse me, and when I'm moving, I'm happier. And there's a good correlation, there's scientific correlation there. When you move, you get adrenal, gland working. You get your serotonin, you get all those happy hormones working, and that's important. And you don't have to pay for your healthy movement. You can go get a trainer, and you can go online and get a trainer, and that's up to you. And that can help too. And the point being is that I think, from having met this gentleman who is like me, a nephew, and who has an uncle, and we all have our family, and some families have gone through more of a struggle than others, but we all have some form of difficult life experience to have to navigate. And inside of that navigation, there needs to be the government involvement to make sure that we're all fighting for healthy communities, I think. And I think this has always been what governments have striven to do, but not always made as a reality. Yet, I think, and I've seen it, and it is possible, I think, in this generation, with the advancement of interconnected, awesome technology, to keep on voting. And the more voices you have into a specific area of what that need is, the closer governments can get to, and it's like any feedback in any business, the more feedback governments have, the better it is, I think. So that being stated, today, on Collaborative 17th of January, it's a great day to move forward inside of having. And ironically, there was a jam that I had, let bygones be bygones, and I don't want to use the wording loosely because some things are awful in history. Yet, to have the awfulness of history predominate the present and future is even greater of awfulness. And what I mean by that, and simply stating, it's important to live in the present because the present is the gift. And to realize the importance of history, what it can teach us, and to prevent similar things from occurring ever, and also to be able to heal as a community or as community members, no matter where one is in the world, and to keep looking forward, and to request of government and say, this is what we need. We need more health care. We need more schools. We need more food. And then having governments focus in on what is needed in the global goals, it structures it so perfectly. And if you think about it, there's places of the world that need more clean drinking water. It's a fact. There are places in the world that need more energy. It is a fact. There's a place in the world that need more infrastructure. But the first base, and that is an important base, is shelter and hunger. And when you have those two base goals and priorities being met by governments whose best interests should always be on the health of their citizenry, you have what I think is a good priority for 2022 and onward infinitely for governments to tirelessly work towards, with ultimately the power that is the power of the people or citizenry everywhere. And if you take a look at anything that was awesomely built, and we could talk about bridges and buildings and all these kind of great ships and planes, the best things that are ever built are the memories that one has with one's family, in one's community, in one's lifetime. And the only way to get there is to keep on focusing on the proactive good, voting for the leaders that stand for what will be the global goals reality, and keep looking to those stars, because like Elon Musk and myself and the rest of the science world, we know that there's only so much time on the planet, maybe not in our lifetime or our children's or great grandchildren, if we're so fortunate to have great grandchildren. The point being is that one would always want that to be the case, and one would want that inside of each and every person one meets. And therefore, it is my conclusion today, on the 17th of January 2022, it is important for governments to continue to have the best representation of the people's best interests, to keep fighting for the global goals, because the global goals will bring about results for health, for education, for shelter, for infrastructure, for energy, for the innovation and the collaboration, the partnership to make sustainability and the resilience a reality for everyone. And with 15 minutes, now 16 minutes, that's Dukester 16, I will conclude this video, and I have to have some water because it's been a long day, a lot of shoveling, but a lot of shoveling means a lot of good work. I don't have to do an exercise routine. I work my back, I work my shoulders, I work my heart, I work my legs, I worked everything. And it was a lot of shoveling. For all those still shoveling out there, take your time, protect your back, protect your neck, protect your muscles. Don't try to go too fast. Take your time, and the job will get done. Have an incredible evening. Focus relentlessly, and that relentless focus will be a good, healthy reality, I think. And let's bring it all the way to 17 minutes on the 17th by saying some key words here as I've been brought up with. Bushko, you got to learn how to love it. Bushko, it's time to have fun.